I know I'm better than this.
Winston. Yes.
I know. I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes.
Sorry, Jameis, but God is clearly a believer. Also, praying to the Lord to rid you of pick sixes is the funniest shit I've ever heard. I know you're busy, God, but if you could bump up my pick six prayers just a hair above some of those cancer prayers, you would be really appreciated. I promise I will shout you out on television, on the biggest stage in America, Lord. Please help me pray the interceptions away, God. Help me.
A phenomenal game.
If it's
Offense,
not a good look. And
do
so
some great things.
Trust him
But
and kick
I
it a
messed
field
it
goal.
up.
So we got the point.
San Diego's high school football rule.
You live by the Jameis, you die by the Jameis. And Monday night delivered a Broncos win in a 41-32 shootout beyond stressful proportions. The Broncos haven't had a home Monday night football game in front of real fans since 2018. 6 years, and the NFL was close to flexing out this game, but I bet they are glad they didn't, because the Broncos are good again. The Broncos are fun again. Denver just earned themselves a lot more Monday night games going forward. We got 73 points, 952 total yards, 2 pick sixes, a 93-yard touchdown. This was a classic and the new best game ever. Broncos fans have had boners for most of the year on Monday night. We were awarded with powerful bogasms. Oh, bogasm. Oh. If you want to give me a double bogasm, sign up at Underdog with my code THATSGOOD. Not only do they sponsor this show, they support me as a creator. We are 6,182 signups away from hitting 10,000 signups, and when we get there, Underdog owes me a cool $1 million, which I will give to the Broncos to make sure Levi Wallace retires. I didn't hit on my Broncos pick'ems in this game because Devon Bailey only got like 2 targets, but the Jameis Winston half of an interception was the easiest pick of my life. Daily fantasy, pick'em games, Underdog has it all. Just use my code when you sign up, That's Good, which provides the absolute most support for your buck here at That's Good Sports. If you are wondering why the Browns training staff is forced to use a giant stick to massage the players, the answer is yes. It's because of Deshaun Watson. Now the game hadn't even started, and we were given an arsenal of Jameis Winston sound bites.
Blessed is the man who endures.
We all know that. Dun, 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 dun.
I don't care about no mile high. I care about the Browns get down and multiply.
This is what it feels like watching 2 QBs combined for 791 passing yards plus 171 interception return yards, which is 962 yards off the throw, and 5 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions. It was like being drunk and hungover at the same time. And honestly, in all my years of binge drinking, drinking responsibly, I don't think I've ever been as inebriated as a fully sober Jameis Winston. No amount of whiskey can get me into the headspace that man lives in.
Nothing's going to change from a mental perspective.
Jameis Winston reminds me of a real-life Billy Madison.
All the people at the zoo are very nice, Penguin.
Sometimes the Penguin Jameis sees are receivers he thinks are open. And I swear to God, anytime he talks, this is how I feel afterwards.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Okay, a simple wrong would have done just fine.
Now the Broncos scored first, following what would really be the only normal drive of the game. That noted, let's jump to what former Broncos receiver Jerry Jeudy said leading up to the game. I just want to go back there and whip their ass. This was Judy's revenge game, and I'm not exactly sure what he was getting revenge for. Maybe being forced to play for the NFL's most notorious sex offender for half the season. But He had the game of his career. In the absence of the ultra-pasteurized corner, Riley Moss, Jameis Winston, and Jerry Jeudy absolutely diced up backup corner Levi Wallace. The 501 in Levi's 501 genes actually represents the amount of yards Levi will give up in any given football game.
Jerry Jeudy just runs right by him.
I've seen less separation between church and state, Levi. And while Levi's are designed to cover your ass, Levi's coverage is ass. Jeudy, though, had 9 catches for 235 yards and a touchdown. Jerry finished with the most receiving yards by any player versus his former team, surpassing Terrell Owens. So yes, Jerry, you've earned this week's revenge dagger, all right? But be careful, because you can cut yourself with your revenge dagger. Revenge is a dish best served with an L, ain't it, Jerry? Ain't it, Jerry? Now, Vance Joseph has had a great redemption arc, but the fact that he didn't adjust and tell Pat Surtain to just follow Jerry Jeudy everywhere was nearly an unforgivable sin. Surtain, when he was covering Jeudy on 34 of his 57 routes, allowed just 2 receptions for 20 yards, which means 215 of Jerry's yards came on 23 snaps when somebody else was covering him, mostly Levi Wallace. Now this might have been the most Jameis Winston game of all time. He threw 6 touchdowns. The only problem, 2 of them were to the Broncos defense, and they were extremely inopportune throws.
Like, I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes.
Now, when I saw who jumped the route on Jameis's first pick 6, I was honestly a little bit surprised. It was Dark Horse Defensive Player of the Year candidate Nik Bonitto. In Spanish, bonito, of course, means pretty. Throw an S on that shit to pluralize it, and bonitos means small fish, a relative to the tuna, which is why I will go to my grave calling Nik Bonitto Pretty Fish. Pretty Fish looked way too quick to be a guy who also has 11 sacks on the season, but he took it 70 yards to the house. A true Casa Bonito, if you will. And if you want these Casa Bonito shirts, you can get 20% off with my promo code PERNA20. These are available through my friends over at DNVR on the All City website, link below. This is not a paid ad. I saw this shirt today and I said, holy fuck, that's perfect. Broncos fans are going to love this, so I reached out to them, said, give me a code so I can promote this in the show today because it's beautiful. And he became the first Bronco since Von Miller in 2012 to have double-digit sacks and a pick 6. Pretty Fish also finished with a tackle for a loss and 2 passes defended, which begs the question, why the fuck was he not covering Jerry Jeudy for most of the game? Despite that pick, the reason I still felt sick was Jameis being a prick. Less than 2 minutes in the half, and the Browns scored quick, and after the blood left my loins, I was no longer thick.
I don't care about no mile. I care about the Browns and Baltimore.
If there's one quarterback I do not want Bo Nix mimicking, it is Jameis Winston on the field. Off the field, of course, is Deshaun Watson, and Brett Favre at a distant second.
Hey, Nine! Jump up, Nine! Somebody jump off sides, damn!
If you open yourself up to Winstoning, you may never recover, Bo. Who would have guessed, though, that the man in this graphic would total 668 passing yards, including the pick 6 yards? That's the most passing yards in NFL history for a quarterback in a game when you combine the yards going the wrong way. And Jameis can thank Jerry Jeudy for making a tackle on his final interception, preventing the Broncos defense from having over 200 return yards on the night. Jameis had more pick 6 passing yardage than Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Anthony Richardson, and Jalen Hurts had in regular passing yardage this week, and all of those quarterbacks fucking won. This is not going down in the box score as a great game for Bo Nix like the 3 we've seen recently, but he was a lot better than the stats. He was nails on 3rd down, once again going 7 for 11. He didn't take a sack, and oh yeah, he hit one of the greatest passes in Broncos team history. A 3rd down laser from his own end zone in between 2 safeties to Marvin Mims for 93 yards. Maybe the most electrifying play on offense I've seen since Peyton Manning was doing it. That's the 2nd longest touchdown pass by a rookie quarterback since 1970. Now this game was a roller coaster because literally on the play after that beautiful touchdown, Jameis hit Jerry Jeudy for a 70-yard fucking touchdown, taking the steam out of a hot meal that should have lasted us fans for at least a couple series. Regardless, that was the cockiest, greatest throw I've seen from Bo Nix all season. It was so fucking good it got an endorsement from Antonio Brown. I'm at the point where I'm accepting Bo Nix glaze from any source. Now, if you want any kind of quantifiable idea of how great that throw and catch was, I'll refer to Next Gen Stats. And basically, what these numbers mean is that Bo just threaded the world's smallest needle, which is also what my wife calls having sex with me. Now, Nix did throw his first 2 interceptions since the first drive against Baltimore a month ago, but I'm hard-pressed to say either of them were totally his fault. Although I do question the play call and the decision to go long to Marvin Mims, but Sean Payton's gonna be aggressive as hell, and the fact that he trusts Bo Nix is cool. I'll take that versus the death by 1,000 checkdowns we've been watching for the last 8 fucking years. It was a bigger deal though that Bo Nix never took a sack facing a Myles Garrett-led defense, that he led what became the game-winning drive, and that he hooked up with Cortland Sutton for another 100-yard game. Those guys are tight. The reputation for Bo Nix and the Broncos offense is that it's too lateral and too dink and dunky. That was not the case in this game. If anything, I thought they were too aggressive and should have leaned more on Audric Estime and Jaleel McLaughlin, who combined for 96 yards on just 17 carries. Jaleel got red hot in the third quarter. I thought he might have scored on this play if he didn't get his face mask yanked. That wasn't called, by the way. And oh, here we go. We're at the fuck the refs portion of the video for some missed calls in this game. Then we had a missed false start on Wyatt Teller on 4th and 1. How the hell do you not call the easiest penalty in the game? Even Jameis Winston, who thought Bruce Arians was black for several years, saw that shit. And why does this fan look like he's recording Jameis Winston in the seafood section of King Soopers? And real quick, shout out to my new favorite Cleveland Browns.
Diabetes.
I gotta give my winning psychic award to former Bronco Chris Harris Jr. If there's anyone who knows about pick sixes, it's probably Chris Harris, and he called it on Twitter. This defense is starting to remind me of some old Broncos defenses. Not the 2015 D, but more like the 2012 defense that had an elite edge rusher and an opportunistic secondary. That defense had 6 touchdowns in 16 games. The 2024 Broncos now have 4 defensive touchdowns with 4 games left to go. And while I may never forgive Levi Wallace, I don't believe there's a dollar amount too little for third-year corner Ja'Quan McMillian. Nik Bonitto may have had the best overall game, but my Big Dick Player Award is going to Ja'Quan McMillian. The final score was 41-32, but I was sweating crab legs in the last 5 minutes of this game. Denver took a 2-point lead late in the 4th after a great drive, but none of us believed that the defense would get a stop. A field goal to win the game from Cleveland or a touchdown seemed likely. And while Jameis will get trolled for this game-sealing pick 6, this is more of an elite play by Ja'Quan McMillian than a bad throw from Jameis. That play had me acting like a fully matured adult during the live stream.
Winston. Yes! It's gonna be a pick 6!
Ja'Quan saved Denver's asses in this game, and Riley Moss's injury has illuminated how good he is as a corner number 2. Browns were trying to make it interesting though, even after that pick 6, and again, I was getting a bit nervous, but Jameis, like he's known to do, tried to force one in, and Cody Barton finally called game. The Broncos are now 8-5, winners of 3 straight, and they're finally getting a break with the latest possible bye week of the season. They're the current 7 seed in the AFC playoffs. They have a 2-game lead over the Colts, their next opponent, and NFL.com has Denver with a 76% chance to make the playoffs. Denver is on the verge of their first winning season since 2016. They're also on the verge of ending this playoff drought that's lasted since Super Bowl 50, and they're doing it in a year with a lot of so-called experts projecting them to be one of the worst teams in the league. Not so fast, motherfuckers. Not so fast. And I'm sorry, Cleveland, but your season is indeed over. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please, again, subscribe here on YouTube. We're trying to get to 700 100,000 subs by the end of the season. And we might just get a Broncos playoff recap this year as well.